First review of the day. We're going to be discussing Knock at the Cabin. Knock at the Cabin is the new M. Night Shyamalan movie. And M. Night Shyamalan, I'll say this about him. His movies are never boring. I mean, you're going to get something. You're either going to get something really terrible, something in the middle.
I don't know, dude. I saw Old.
Even Old, I thought, which was a movie that came out. When did that movie come out? Like last year or a couple years ago?
Yeah, that came out, I think it was either last year or the year before.
Okay. So you had that movie, Old, which came out recently. Then he almost, it seems like he's now made kind of a little bit of a resurgence again, with movie like The Visit, and then he did Split, and then he did Glass, then he did Old. So it seems like he's kind of
there's the boring one. It was Glass.
Glass, yeah. Which, so I will say,
hate that movie.
You never know what you're kind of get. I will say that his movies do generate a lot of conversation. So at least that's something that you can say about him that is very much appreciated. And whether or not this is, Knock at the Cabin, are you going to, with this film, are you getting good M. Night Shyamalan? Are you getting bad M. Night Shyamalan? Are you getting in between M. Night Shyamalan? Well, got to stick around and listen to the review to find out. So the setup of this movie is that it is starring this family. You have this couple here who has an adopted child. The couple is played by Jonathan Groff. And Jonathan Groff, if I'm not mistaken, he was the guy that was on...
Yeah, he was King George on Hamilton.
He was King George on Hamilton. He was
also in Mindhunter, which is, I think, one of the bigger things that people would recognize him from. And his husband in the movie is played by Ben Aldrich, who I don't think I've ever really seen him before, but both of them are really good in the movies. Something that I think Shyamalan has kind of fallen a little bit with in a lot of his more recent work was how he directs his actors. And here, everybody is really knocking it out of the park. So I'll just go ahead and give that pro right now.
Yeah, and the little girl who plays their daughter is a first time actress, I believe. So this is her debut thing in anything that she's ever been in, film or TV. So this is the first project she's ever been a part of, acting wise. And this movie is based on a 2018 novel called The Cabin at the End of the World. So in this, and it's also funny to note that this movie also has a screenplay from the screenplay involves two other people, including M. Night Shyamalan himself, Steve Desmond and Michael Sherman. So the premise of this is that you have these kind of doomsday type people coming to this cabin, telling this family that the world is about to end unless you make this incredibly hard decision to basically sacrifice one of the members of the family. And if you don't do this, the world is going to end. And it can be anyone. It can be any one of you, but it has to just be somebody.
It can be any one of you, but you can't kill yourself, and none of the people breaking into the house can help you.
Yeah. So the movie's kind of, you see kind of as it progresses, are these people crazy? Are these people, just hardcore religious zealots that, they're just super believing this, is this all a ruse of some kind?
Is it a homophobic attack? Because the couple here are a gay couple, and that idea is presented in the film as well.
Yeah. You have scenes where, these group of people are starting to doubt themselves, their mission. And other than Dave Bautista, who plays Leonard, you have Rupert Grint in this movie, who people know from Harry Potter fame, who plays Redmond. You also have Nikki Akuma Bird, who people might know. I've seen her in something else before. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick.
She was in
Old.
She was in Old.
Yeah, she was in so she was in another M. Night Shyamalan movie, Old, as well. She was in that just recently. And then you also have the actress Kristen Cue, who plays Abby Quinn, who plays Adrian.
Abby Quinn is the last member of this little group that is attacking this family.
Yeah. So they're the group, the Doomsday people that come to the cabin, and warn the family there of the potential apocalypse that's coming. And the movie jumps right into things. It doesn't take, you know what I mean, any, basically as soon as the movie opens, you get to see Dave Bautista's character. You get to see him interacting with the little girl, and I like how the movie plays on Dave Bautista looking the way he does. Obviously, being this big,
Mhm.
physically imposing guy, and expecting him to kind of come in and wreak havoc. He doesn't really do that. He's trying to be very
Mhm.
sensible. He's trying to be very calm, very measured. Of telling this family, it's like, listen, one of you's gotta die. You know what I mean? And he's trying to be as calm as possible and rational as possible, even something, trying to tell these people something incredibly irrational, and I like that. And I like the interaction between these Doomsday people and the family that you see here, and really good performances all around. I think
Mhm.
throughout the film, and it is a very traditional kind of. You have a it's a simple kind of setup, cabin in the
Mhm.
woods type movie, and M. Night Shyamalan has kind of taken this approach recently with a lot of his movies, where he's kind of funded them himself, after
Mhm.
realizing, blockbuster movies just wasn't for him, after kind of
Mhm.
some failures with After Earth and Last Airbender. So I kind of like that approach that, he's kind of taken of just kind of funding a lot of this stuff himself,
Mhm.
and doing kind of more smaller projects. I think that's what made when he really kind of bursted back onto the scene again with like The Visit and everything like that. I think that's what really helped him out a lot. So in this one, making it a more kind of smaller thing, more intimate. The
Mhm.
look of the movie is really good as well because this is shot on film, which looks really good. And to see kind of things constantly kind of ramp up, and to see where things go, is also very interesting. What were some of your thoughts on Knock at the Cabin there, Nick?
Some of my thoughts. So with M. Night Shyamalan, after a film like Unbreakable, which to this day is on my favorite movies of all time, I absolutely adore that film. And since that film, I don't think M. Night Shyamalan has ever made a movie that comes even close to the level of quality with that. With Unbreakable, that was again what you were talking about, a very small, very intimate kind of film about this kind of broken person. And with everything after that, I hate to say it, but he kind of went up his own ass a little bit. He saw one Rolling Stone article calling him the next Spielberg, and I feel like he kind of let that go to his head a little bit. And I feel like as a result of that, throughout a lot of his films, he is less. He, I feels like he doesn't really trust his audience to put two and two together regarding a lot of the themes that he's trying to present, which is one of the things that irritated me so much when watching Glass or Old, and even to a certain extent this. But what separates this from those films is I think the acting is so much better here. There's moments with Dave Batista where he is given some of the dumbest dialogue I've ever heard, and he manages to sell it. There's a scene between Jonathan Groff and Ben Aldridge as scenes where we get flashbacks of their time together and see a lot of the prejudices that they've had to deal with. And all of those scenes are so well acted. And again, to the technical side, this is probably one of the best looking M. Night Shyamalan films. He does a lot more with his cinematography, especially in some of the action set sequences that I think have shades of what he was doing in Glass, but it's much more improved here. The camera's pulled back a little more, and you can actually see some of the choreography. And there's this one shot, I think it's in the trailer, where Batista is like swinging what looks like one of these weapons, and we're following it down
Mm.
in a single take. And it's really cool cinematography, and it adds so much more to a lot of the tension in this film.
Yeah, and there's one scene where when kind of they come into the house, you see one of the guys. It's Andrew, who's Ben Aldridge, and you see him fighting with Rupert Grint, and you see the camera kind of move with him as he's being
Mhm.
hit. It was almost like it felt like I was in the fight, like I was getting kind of knocked down, like it was kind of moving up and down and everything like
Yeah.
that. I was like,
Yeah,
damn.
yeah, it was similar to how he shot the fight scenes in Glass, but it was done so much better here.
Mm.
Just purely because you could actually see the choreography.
Yeah. Okay. And Ben Aldris, I'm looking at some of his stuff that he's done. So he was in Fleabag, and he's also on Pennyworth as well. He plays Thomas Wayne. And Pennyworth is about the
Oh,
butler,
that's nice.
Alfred Pennyworth, to be Batman's butler. So he's
Yeah,
in.
a throwaway joke in the fucking Teen Titans Go movie ended up becoming a series.
Yeah. So
and and he was also just recently in in a spoiler alert, the film starring Jim Parsons that just dropped on Peacock that I've heard nothing but good things about.
okay. So I think that a lot of the camera work here is very well done. And kind of see that. And I do like how they kind of get into things. I do like the dynamic between the family. Maybe you could have spent a little bit more time, with the family a little bit. Maybe seeing them. They do kind of do some flashbacks here, showing how they got to where they are. They show the how the two of them, Andrew, and the other, what's the other guy's name here? Andrew and Eric, how they got together. They do show that. They do show how they adopted their daughter, which I thought was pretty good. They do show like why one of them has a certain skill set that you'll see in the movie, why they have that, why they have some of the beliefs that they have here. So I do like that they kind of give a little bit of that kind of backstory here in the movie. And seeing the Doomsday people led by Dave Bautista as Leonard, I kind of did like their kind of dynamic. And the passion and emotion in their voice, I think you could tell that from a lot of these people that these are, they're serious. You know what I mean? You can tell that early on about what they believe. Did you? How did you like all the Doomsday people in this movie? I should say.
All of the Doomsday people here, I think they're fine, but I think just purely on a script-wise basis, there's not a lot for most of them to do besides Dave Bautista. I feel like he is the one who gets most of the emotional weight behind a lot of the interaction with the family and the entire this entire belief that they're trying to sell these people on, that this is actually happening. The goddamn apocalypse is coming unless you sacrifice one of your family.
Yeah. And I think towards the end of the movie, I think it spells out things a little, like you said. I think it spells out things a little too hard about what the Doomsday people are supposed to represent. I think they should have just left that out.
And I was having this conversation with Jay Hunter, who's in the chat right now, and about the difference between why something like this doesn't work versus something like Yorgos Lanthimos' The Lobster works so well, because both of those films kind of have this problem where dialogue, it feels very unnatural. It's almost like nobody speaks like this in real life, and themes are explicitly spelled out for you. But with The Lobster, I felt like there's enough ambiguity there. And to an extent, with people who I know who've read the book, they said that the ending is much more ambiguous in there. And here, Night strips all of that away,
Yeah.
which I think is a problem here. And also, there's a difference between being upfront with your themes, something like was done, I thought, very well in something like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and not trusting your audience to put two and two together. And I think this film kind of falls into the latter.
Yeah, because I was expecting much more of an ambiguous ending than kind of what was there, because it kind of just lays it all out right there, which I think I was expecting a little bit something more ambiguous. I think it would have been benefited from it being more ambiguous, of like piecing together clues of like what was happening and everything like that. So I was kind of disappointed by that, and disappointed kind of where it ended
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah, in so much of the film, a lot of the tension comes from, are these people for real? Is this apocalypse actually going to happen if we don't sacrifice ourselves? And the couple is putting out rational arguments, actually poking holes in their entire story. And the film just kind of brushes it off. It doesn't treat it with any kind of weight like it should for a film like this.
Yeah. Yeah, seeing them, they go through, a lot of these rational, like I said, the couple goes through a lot of rational explanations of, what could be happening, what are they seeing that seem very logical. and add cast doubt on these things, and I think that was good. I wish they just leaned into that a little bit more. But like I said, with the Doomsday People, it's just mainly Dave Bautista who gets majority and bulk of it. And again, I think Dave Bautista, who kind of goes through this movie being kind of threatening, but slightly creepy, but also very heartwarming and very friendly. Of kind of having these conflicting emotions, I think you feel about him, because because he is just kind of like this kind of almost gentle kind of giant. You may be thinking away in this movie and a lot of stuff he does. And when you learn more backstory about his character, and there's like a sweet moment that kind of happens when he's telling about his backstory, and then even when he puts something on the TV, for the girl in the movie, and his interactions with the little girl, I think are really great, and very sweet. And again, it's just in this incredibly messed up situation, you know what I mean, of him really being pushed to do this thing that he doesn't really want to do. And when you see actions that get carried out by these people in the movie, you see that these are people that are not horrible people. You know what I mean? They just really believe there.
They were just people going about their daily lives, and then circumstances happened which forced them into this situation. They don't want to be here. They don't want to put this family through it. But they have been called. But to quote the Blues Brothers, they're on a mission from God.
Yeah, and they even make a Jehovah's Witness joke in it as well. Because when you see Dave Bautista, when you see his whole fit, I mean, he's got the tight ass white shirt and the tucked in shirt and the jeans and it.
I used to when I was in Japan, I used to volunteer at this like a Mormon church teaching English over there, and all of the fucking missionaries were dressed exactly like that. It was fucking trippy watching this movie.
Yeah, because you see Dave Bautista right here. He's got the tight ass white shirt and tucked in the jeans and everything like that. Yeah, I mean,
he is a pair of white New Balances away from hopping on that grill and making some fire ass burgers.
So I thought that was actually good what they did in the movie. But yeah, like I said, I think the ending kind of, like you said, strips away a lot of the audiences kind of just putting two and two together and letting them kind of decide their own type of ending, which I thought was a shame. Good performances all around, good camera work.
Yeah, and from what I understand, that ambiguity that we're asking for, that is the ending of the book. From what I've read about it.
Yeah. So good performances all around, good camera work, good cinematography, I thought. From the film. I just, like I said, ending, for me just kind of falls flat, which is a shame. But overall, I think I give it a lowish kind of tune in for me. What about you?
Yeah, for me, this is probably one of my favorite M. Night films in a very long time. And I know I spent most of the kind of dogpiling on the film, but what works about it works so well. The cinematography, it's constantly engaging. The performances, especially from Dave Bautista. And towards the end of the film, we get a scene between Jonathan Groff and Ben Aldridge, and it is heartbreaking to watch. And you are forced literally in to both of their performances through close-ups, and it is claustrophobic and it is very tear-jerking. I got very emotional watching the ending of this film, and the whole conceit in the situation, it is very, very tense, and it is a very tense hour and 40 minutes, which I think the film is perfectly paced. The negatives, I think, are in some of the stilted dialogue. I feel like M. Night needs to trust his audience a little bit more to come away with the themes that he's trying to say, because he used to be able to do that. He used to in films like The Sixth Sense, like Unbreakable, even to an extent something like The Visit. And I don't know what happened with him. But all of those failings, I still would probably give this a very, very high stream it. I don't think anything in here really necessitates going out to a theater. But for me, the bad kind of knocks it out of being a tune-in.
Okay. I could see that. Like I said, I can give it a lowish tune in. So I could see high, stream it or stream it. I could see that. I could kind of go there too. But like I said, for me, I was a lowest tune in because I like the performances quite a bit,
Mm-hmm.
like the camera work quite a bit. So I think that kind of really bumped it up for me. You know, whether you should see it, I mean, would it be probably better? I mean, I guess you just have to check it out for yourself in theaters. I don't think you
Mm-hmm.
would be, truly disappointed coming out of the theaters. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
that much going
Yeah,
like I
this is a
wasted.
yeah, I feel like this is probably going to be one of Knight's more divisive films, depending on how you come away with it.
So Nick gave it a stream it, and I'm at a lowish tune in for Knock at the Cabin from M. Night Shyamalan.